Hello. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. Just this week, I've had the opportunity to connect with some people from all across the United States, and it's amazing the impact that this show is starting to have. And for that, I'm grateful to you for allowing me to have this platform to showcase the very best leaders that I can find from across the country. Tonight certainly is no exception. Looking forward to interviewing our guest tonight. Been knowing him for several years, and he's doing some amazing leadership and is one of the longest tenured superintendents in the state of North Carolina in one place. And so we're looking forward to hearing of his successes as we move forward. Our guest tonight is Dr. Eric Cunningham, who is the superintendent of Halifax County Schools in North Carolina. Dr. Eric L. Cunningham is a native of Birmingham, Alabama, but he relocated to Virginia in his early years. He is the proud superintendent of Halifax County Schools in Halifax, North Carolina. He strongly believes that his responsibility is to lead by example as he strives to provide guidance, motivation, and protection in pursuit of excellence to the greatest and most important citizens of Halifax County, which are the children. He's dedicated his entire career to supporting and improving the lives of children in schools and communities in which they live. Dr. Cunningham is committed to the old school philosophy: it takes a village to raise a child. For the last 5 years, he has changed the culture of Halifax County schools and communities by charting a new course to student achievement. This entailed rebranding the schools, investing in people, empowering others, and motivating individuals with simple but meaningful slogans like "Strive for Five" and "I Matter." Dr. Cunningham has over 25 years of educating children and serving the communities. Dr. Cunningham received his BS and MA in counseling from Liberty University and his doctorate in administration and supervision from the University of Virginia. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Roanoke Valley Chamber of Commerce's Foundation Center for Energy Education, and he is a member of the Roanoke Rapids Rotary Club in North Carolina. Throughout his career, Dr. Cunningham has earned leadership awards, including the Roanoke Valley Community Champion Award, Halifax Community College Local African American Heroes Award, the Pittman Family Award, Certificate of Appreciation for the Halifax County Juvenile Crime Prevention, and the Halifax Corporate Extension honoring our Heroes Award for being an outstanding role model. He is also the author of Starting from the Bottom and How to Start at the Top and Release the Success Power Within You. So as you can see, he has a very diverse portfolio, and I'm honored at this time to welcome to the Right Experience my fraternity brother and colleague, Dr. Eric Cunningham.
How are you, brother? Dr.
I'm doing well, and welcome to the Right Experience. I'm
Thank you for
certainly honored to have you here, and thank you for agreeing to be a part of the show.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Dr. Cunningham, I want you to begin by talking to us about the Halifax County School District. Obviously, we've had this conversation. I grew up in a community very near the Halifax County School District, and so, but talk to us about some of the amazing things that you have going on there now.
Well, Halifax County is best described as rural. It's one of the largest land masses in the East, over 732 square miles. And when you look at that, we only have 11 schools. So that tells you that we're small community schools that are spread out. A typical day in Halifax County is a student who rides on the bus over an hour to and from school. Welcome to rural America. When I arrived here in 2016, I had to take off my blinders, Dr. Wright. When I talk about those blinders, I talk about those preconceived things that we already think we already know. But then there's always something that hits you right dead in between your eye, and that's called the reality. On the first day of school, when I was riding the bus, I was riding on that bus, and as we were riding through the mountains, I saw a woman doing this around 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I tapped the bus driver on the shoulder and I said, she drawing water at the well. You know, there's nothing wrong with having some fresh tap, you know, some fresh water coming in. He said, no, she don't have no water coming in. Right. I sat back. I said, oh my goodness. And then the second time we went to pick up another child, the mother opened the door and Dr. Wright, she literally, the door was off the hinges. Uh-huh. And she opened the door and held the door while the child came running to us at the bus. I looked again. I said, So I got back on that bus and literally, Dr. Wright, that was a movement that changed my life. That was a moment that changed my life. You have these epiphanies, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
You hear it and tears started running down the side and just involuntarily. And they were really tears about me because I didn't know if I was equipped to meet our expectations with these type of circumstances, you know?
Right.
And let me tell you what happened. The kids literally started rubbing me on my shoulder. And you know what they told me? You're going to be all right, Dr. C. It's just the first day of school. And I said, resilience. My babies are resilient, and I can build on that. Mm-hmm. So I got off that bus a different man.
So they taught you.
Yes, they did. They taught me that your circumstance doesn't set the stage of where you're going to end up in life.
Okay.
That's what they were showing me. I'm happy the way that I am, but I know that education is going to make me better. And I took that message that the children left me with that day, and we started building. And we started calling it Charting a New Course. And that's where Charting a New Course evolved. It was birthed on that bus ride.
From the first day of school.
That first day of school, and then we started rebranding all of our schools. We started turning them into STEM academies. Every school now has a magnet influence. It's almost like a magnet. So we have Aurelian Springs, which was an elementary school, is now the Institute of Global Learning. Our children are learning Spanish in kindergarten. Full immersion. And so by 5th grade, we hope that we have bilingual students going into the middle school. We have our 2 middle schools have been rebranded into STEM and STEAM academies. We transformed the media centers into maker spaces where kids can go in there, lay on the floor, do robotics, understand about solar energy, they can create things in the library. When have you ever seen students lined up to get into the media center? Well, if you come out to Halifax County Schools, you're going to start to see that because they're able to do things kinesthetically with their fingers, and it's starting to catch fire. And I'm just so proud of the results that we're beginning to see all throughout Halifax County Schools. So what we did was reframe, we reset the stage, created a magnet concept at every school, and we call it Letting Our Light Shine because we see ourselves as the lighthouse district. And that just simply means that the light is shining to attract all of our students back. Because we believe in Halifax County Schools, can't nobody take care of marginalized children better than us. We know our children. We were there when they're born. We're at the weddings. We go to the funerals. We're there.
Right.
We love them the best. And so, but we had to build on that brand. And it's working. It's working.
Sounds amazing. It sounds like you're doing some amazing work. And what better place to do it than you described Halifax as being rural? What better place to do it than to give those children the same opportunities that we see in non-rural areas?
And so we can't do everything.
That's right.
But the 1 or 2 things we do, we're going to be the best at it.
Do it well.
We're going to do those 1 or 2 things, and we believe in incremental growth here, step by step. See, when you're starting below the mean, getting to the mean is a major accomplishment. And so we just have to grow our kids to proficiency. And we're doing it step by step. And we believe in Halifax County Schools that we're going to love them where you are. We love them where they are. And we're going to grow you where you are. And we're starting to see some good positive results.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, Dr. Cunningham, you have been there almost 7 years now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
January, I think, might be 7 years. Is that right? Did I
yeah,
get that right?
yeah. I'm going. I started my 7th year, July 8th,
Okay. Okay. All right.
and they tell me that's a long time for a superintendent.
Well, what that does is it places you way up on the on the food chain, if you will, now in terms of longevity in the state of North Carolina for sure.
Mhm.
The average tenure of a superintendent is about 3 years, and you've more than doubled that in one place. So, to what do you attribute that success, that longevity success that you had as a leader at the highest level in Halifax?
I think it really it's like what Maya Angelou said.
Hmm.
People will not remember what you said; they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah. Yep.
So what I focus on, Dr. Wright, is to make people feel good about what it is that we have been called to do.
Hmm.
You got to feel good about it. We
Right.
know it's hard work, but you still have to feel good because you're making a difference. And
Right.
it's hard work. And it's a hard work. I'm not trying to be, scriptural, but it reminds me of Nehemiah when he had to rebuild that wall. And when he was rebuilding that wall, people were throwing spears at him and everything. He had to have a sword in one hand, and he was rebuilding the wall with the other. Well, that's what we're doing in Halifax County. We were building the wall, of,
Right.
of the school, and we're changing, the entire culture. And I would like to say that stuff they taught us, that we learned in grad school, that it takes 3 to 5 years to change. No, no, no. It's more like 10. It's more like 10 years, so that is so when we talk about the longevity, you have
Sure.
to be transparent. Number one, you have to be transparent,
That's right.
be authentic.
Hmm.
You have to be your real self. I had to take my blinders off when I told you. I couldn't be Dr. Eric Cunningham. Hello, everybody. I'm from University of Virginia. How are you? I couldn't be that guy.
Right.
I had
Sure.
to strip myself
Right.
and be the truest version of myself. And that means admitting your failures. I know when I'm wrong.
Sure.
Admitting my failures, showing that I'm human, building trust from the ground up by establishing relationships, you know, growing everybody around you. Everybody who works in Halifax is expected to grow. And
Amen.
then and then promoting them because they go other places. So
Sure.
we call that the lighthouse. So when you come to Halifax, you're going to grow. And then your assignment may be changed. And that's okay. Because then the light's going to shine and another person's going to be attracted to that spot. Because what I've learned, Dr. Wright, is that the key, that people want to be in positions where they can thrive and be recognized for thriving. So we recognize employees all the time, authentically. Again, we're transparent with our board. We're transparent with everyone. We're free. We accept our vulnerabilities. We know that this is hard work. Working with marginalized students when you're 100% free lunch is rough. Is rough. So you're not going to feel good every single day, and you're going to drop the ball every now and then. You may even fumble. All you need to do in Halifax County is do as I did when I was playing basketball at Liberty. My bad, and get on down the floor and play defense.
Mhm.
So I think that is the key to longevity: is that transparency, authenticity, and constant coaching and growing everybody around you.
And I also heard you allude to something that I try to say often.
Sure.
You also have to meet people where they are,
Where they are.
wherever they are. You can't make assumptions that people know. You've got to work diligently to meet people where they are and then move them to where they need to be. So that's amazing leadership, and thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, Dr. Cunningham, we are, I guess, considered to be post-pandemic. I don't know if I totally agree with that yet, but
Um,
but we're headed that way for sure.
we are.
So, what does education need to look like, in your opinion, post-pandemic? What are some of the things that we've learned from the pandemic that you believe are going to be key to us moving forward?
Well, when you work in marginalized communities, one thing that stood out all across the country was that our children learn best face to face.
We learned that, didn't we?
We learned that.
Right.
Kids need to be socialized. Well, that socialization takes place in the public schools.
That's right.
Kids need to learn to get along with people that don't look like them. Well, that happens in the public schools, you know? So we learned all of those. And what we learned is that a teacher is a professional and everybody can't do it. We learned that. So what it did was raise the value of educators across the board, because people, parents, businesses now have come to appreciate the role of an educator. We had that saying a long time ago, those who can't teach. Well, now we're saying those who can't teach either. We learned that coming out of COVID. So what I envision,
might have to borrow that one. Okay.
Yeah, hey, I say that now. Those who can't teach either. So what I envision happening post COVID, to answer your question, sir, is more of a hybrid type experience. We now have built an infrastructure in places like Halifax, and thanks to the amount of ESSER money that has been poured out to us, where we have smart boards and a one-to-one program. Well, that allows us to beam in a teacher.
Sure.
You see, so now we can actually beam in a teacher and have a facilitator in the classroom. So highly qualified teachers can now extend across boundaries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
And teach across districts because of technology. So I actually see more of that starting to happen. We're having a partnership like with the North Carolina School of Science and Math, where we're actually beaming a teacher in, and we have a facilitator in the classroom. We're now getting ready to put kids on the North Carolina virtual charter, charter school. That's going to work well. So I see that we're going to have to set up, places for remediation to take place,
right,
face to face, and bring in more virtual learning with highly qualified teachers.
So we're not going to put the blended cat back in the bag. We're going to keep the blended learning model out there because it's what's best for kids moving forward. We need to have learning take place face to face, I hear you saying, but also provide those virtual opportunities for learning to continue.
Yeah, I mean, because why not have a teacher in Hawaii?
That's right.
Why not those experiences happening?
And I think we always knew that eventually it might go to virtual, but I just don't think it was assumed that we would do it this quickly. But now that we have opened that bag, of course, I agree that we need to continue to flourish on that, because some experiences for children will be best had by those from a global perspective, whether it be in Hawaii or Mississippi or wherever. So absolutely, that's wonderful.
And we'll be able to differentiate better too.
That's right. That's exactly right.
By allowing those things to happen. Some kids can't. Some kids do exceptionally well by themselves.
Exactly.
And that child should be allowed to prosper and run as fast as they possibly can. And so we, this COVID has allowed us to really reconsider how to set that environment where all kids receive that, that sound basic education.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Cunningham, let's think a minute. You've served as a superintendent for, like we said, almost 7 years, or seventh school year. Prior to that, you had some work, I know, in my home district as an assistant superintendent.
Yep.
What are some of your proudest moments? What are some things that you can glean on to say, these are some things that I'm very proud of?
My proudest moment every year is graduation.
Right.
When all those babies come across the stage. Because when you work in a small community like Halifax County Schools, you develop relationships with kids.
There you go. Right.
So I know our babies, and I've been here 6 years. So, 6 years ago, they were in the 6th grade. You see it? And now they're graduating, and I've gotten to know their parents. I've been to funerals, weddings. I've sat on the back stoop with daddy. I've done all those things. And so those stories that you have with the children, and and especially when you're working with marginalized kids who has experienced a lot of waves. See, I call waves those issues in life that we can't control, but we have to respond to. And when you see that child rise above those waves and come back like one of our students did. He was this keynote speaker at our empowerment zone, which is our alternative ed school program.
Mm-hmm. All right.
He came back because he listened and he became a welder. And he wanted to speak at graduation. And he was like, I have my own car now. I have my job. I have benefits. I did get that certification. I didn't have to go to a 4-year school, but I'm independent. I'm paying my taxes. I am doing okay. And all you have to do is take full advantage of the opportunities that's here for you in Halifax County, and you will have the same thing. That was one of my proudest moments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Seeing that graduate come back and tell his story and tell his story. So it's moments like that makes me teary-eyed, because I'm deeply grateful to have fostered that in that student.
And you mentioned something that I like to coin, immersing yourself in the community. You talked about sitting on the back stoop and getting to know students and all of that. Why is that so important for a superintendent, even at the level that you've served for these last 7 years? Why is it so important for you to still immerse yourself in community? Speak to that for us.
A rising tide lifts all boats. A rising tide lifts all boats. So what has to happen when you're dealing with children and you're asking them to strive for 5? And in Halifax County, we say strive for 5. 5 is the highest score you can score on the end of course exams in North Carolina. You know that, sir.
Sure.
And strive means go get it. But when I say 5, I mean a 5-star life.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do in America is strive to have a 5-star life. And there are too many examples of people that look like us living a 5-star life because they refuse to accept anything less than. So what I want our parents to know is that we're growing your name generationally, and so your last name, Wright, is going to be even better because we're growing it through your son.
Right.
And what we want our parents to know is that they must push their child too and align themselves with us, because this is what we do for a living, and align them with us and watch your name grow, because it is expected for our children to do better than their parents. As much as we're pouring out into these kids, I like to remind them of that. Look at them sneakers you put on that boy. You had to work, that might be 2 days' pay that you put on his feet. Well, you don't expect him to do right in school, And so what I want to do in Halifax County is establish partnerships with parents. But again, you got to meet them where they are. You got to be authentic, and you got to be genuine, because they can tell a fake, and then they start to follow.
That authenticity is so important. I'm glad that you touched on that, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cunningham, the future of education, of course, is in question. Just this week, I was privy to some information, and won't go into a lot of detail, but I'll kind of give the gist of it, where there is a movement by anti-public school people to become a part of boards of education. Now, we're not going to talk about boards of education tonight, but I will say, what do you think are some key points to us ensuring that public schools are protected moving forward in the future of education?
See, I personally believe that public schools are as American as apple pie.
Okay, good.
You can't get rid of them.
Right.
Where else are kids going to go?
Mm-hmm.
We believe in America. We believe one of the founding truths in America is that every child deserves a free education. Mm-hmm. That is what democracy is set up on. So I don't believe that you can disband it. I believe you can expand it. So, and that is that hybrid, and that's what we're starting to learn now. And what I, so I believe you're always going to have your critics and people who say you can do it a better way. Well, show me the better way. Show me the better way with that child that doesn't have water. Show me the better way with that child that doesn't have a door. Show me a better way for those homeless children that we have to give grab and go bags. Show me a better way than the way that we're doing it now. And then you might win me over because it's all about these children.
Right.
It's all about these children. But I do believe that at the end of the day, we're going to see that the model that we have can be expanded, not disbanded.
Good. And that's got to be the key. We got to provide more opportunities and more outcomes for kids. That's so key.
See, it's okay for people to say we can do better. That's the American way. But you got to show us better. We have to dream of better. We can't just say better. We have to do better. So I want to do better by seeing better. I want you to hear better. I want you to let me know, how do we impact the lives of these children better than the way that we're doing it now? Because we don't want to go back to what we were doing 2 years ago. Didn't work. Scores plummeted. We know that now. So show me a better way.
Just this week, Dr. Cunningham, I had an opportunity to talk to people from the state of Texas, from South Carolina, North Carolina, some folks from Ohio, and all across our nation now we are seeing, some people call it a great resignation, what have you, but it's affecting education all across the line. It's not just rural districts anymore. It's not just at-risk districts. All of us are having trouble recruiting and retaining quality personnel. What do you see as some things that we need to do moving forward to ensure that we provide a good workforce for our students?
Well, I think we need to expand the teacher training programs.
Okay.
What I would like to see is a reduction in college tuition if you go into education. See, the rewards of education doesn't justify the cost of becoming a certified teacher. And when you look at student loan costs and the cost of attending a four-year university, at the end of the year, at the end of your 4 years, you're massively in student loan debt. And then your salary at that time may only be $45,000, but $600 of that money is going towards student loan debt.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to force you to have to get a second job, right? And especially if you have a family. So I would love for us to address the cost that it takes to become certified as a teacher. So I would love to see those costs, adjusted if you're going to teach. I would love to see student loan forgiveness if you work in high poverty areas, like in Halifax County. I wish there was something that would forgive loans if you come and work in marginalized communities for 5 years, and then I would love to be able to create teachers for tomorrow programs in the schools.
Sure.
That will expose them. But so I would love for our children, I would love for us to really sit down and construct a good pipeline because I really want our kids to be traditionally trained by going through a 4-year institution and then, have their student teaching and then go into our school district, as opposed to being lateral entry and we're having to teach them how to teach while they're teaching. That's tough. So I would rather love to be able to create that type of pipeline from the ground up, sir.
And we need all of that, don't we? We need all of that.
Not bits and pieces.
We don't need just one of those things. We need all of that,
sure.
As we try to move forward and do what's best and provide the best outcomes we can for children and the people that serve them. I'm starting to use in my language very often that we cannot be just concerned about children. Children is the business that we're in. We got to have them first, but we also got to take care of those that serve them, because You remember a couple of years ago, there was some research done, and we talked about, whether or not an entry level salary in the state of North Carolina was sufficient for teachers. And, there at that time, I think it was $35,000 a year, which broke down to be about $2,000 a month after taxes for teachers to try to live on. And in this day and time, in this economy, it's tough when you got to, pay a light bill out of that. You got to pay a mortgage. You got to pay, you got to buy groceries and utilities and car payments and all of that. And, oh, by the way, you've got a student loan that you got to pay back. So to your point, I think that's some amazing insight to look at universities and try to get them to maybe defray some costs for people that are going to commit to the education profession.
Yeah.
I think you've got a great idea there that we need to develop.
And it will take alignment from the federal, state, and local level to pull this off.
Correct.
Because, one thing that we have to realize is the emergence of the certification programs coming out of our community college. You can now make $40,000 with an associate degree. Right. with an associate's degree. And in North Carolina, you can earn your associate's degree free. That's so right. You don't have any student loans, and you're entering into the workforce like our welder, and he's making as much as a first-year teacher.
So somehow or another, we've got to work on that and get those salaries more competitive and help decrease the debt for folks that commit to education. I think that's some amazing insight. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Cunningham, let's pretend for a minute that you have the opportunity, and I know you do all the time, to observe someone that is thinking of getting into the career of educational leadership. So now we're focused on someone that wants to become a principal and follow the process to eventually become a superintendent like yourself. So if you had the opportunity to talk to this person at the very beginning of their career, what are some things you would tell them?
The first thing that I would tell people is to understand fit.
Okay.
FIT. Okay.
See,
many times we apply for jobs for reasons other than fit. We like salary. That's a key driver. I want to be a principal. I'm going to make more money, but you're not understanding the fit. Mm-hmm. So what I would tell a first-year administrator or someone aspiring to be an administrator is to look for the right combination, because you're the key. Mm-hmm. But you have to have the right lock. And that is the right fit. If you work best with marginalized students, why are you trying to go to a suburban area? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Go to where your strengths are. Work with the children that you work best with, and you can have a very good career doing it. Now, if at first you don't succeed, try again. You're not going to get the first or second job you apply for. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way. You're going to, so when you fall, you have to be resilient like my babies and get back up again. And then you have to ask yourself, like I had to ask myself many times, because I didn't get my first superintendency until years and years and years of trying. What is my role in me not getting this job?
Okay.
You have to ask yourself that reflective question. What's my role? Did I understand reading at the elementary level good enough to answer it with passion and conviction? Do I understand, operational and finance, so you go around and you look at all those key areas and you ask yourself, do you really understand them to that level to where you can articulate them in an interview? But it's also just coming to the fit. When you walk into that room, you should feel like you're amongst a team that you already belong to. And that's that chemistry that you naturally begin to feel, where they can see you and you can see them. Because remember, it's that transparency that counts, and so when all the aspiring leaders, I would tell them that, if at first you don't succeed, try again, but also reflect on what your role is in not getting that job, because you may not have answered a question with enough depth. And make sure that you find the right place that fits your strengths.
I also think so much in there, but I also think that it's key for leaders to always look introspectively. One of the things I'm learning nowadays is folks sometimes want to blame everybody else.
That's right.
We're not moving forward. We're not progressing. I didn't get this opportunity, what have you, because of somebody else. And to your point, we've always got to look introspectively, because the best leaders who grow the most look introspectively to make to get themselves to the next level. So I think that's amazing insight, and thank you for that.
Our parents told us, when you point one finger, how many looking at you? They Dr. Wright.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Dr. Cunningham, if you'll hold on for us, we'll come back and close out the show in just a minute. My guest next week is going to be Dr. Candace Bethay. Dr. Bethay is the superintendent of Marion County Schools in South Carolina. Dr. Bethay is in her second year as superintendent there, doing some amazing work. She also has the unique combination of being a first lady of a church in the area. So we're looking forward to talking with her next week. That'll be next week, October 20th. 2022, 7:00 p.m. And that's going to be right here on the Wright Experience. Dr. Cunningham, my brother, I do appreciate and am absolutely pleased with being a part of, have an opportunity to observe the wonderful leadership that you're providing for Halifax County. Halifax County, as well as other districts throughout the state and the nation, need amazing leadership, and you've provided that for those citizens for just about 7 years now. And hats off to you for doing that. And children need people that care and provide good leadership. And just talking to you for a few minutes, we know that you are doing both for the citizens of Halifax County. So congratulations to you, and thank you for agreeing to be a part of this podcast.
It was an honor to be here with you today, and congratulations to you. And I wish you much success in your new position.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're missed, my brother. You are missed. You are missed.
Well, thank you for saying that. And it's going amazingly well in Sumter School District for us as well. But thank you for that. And to the Wright Experience audience, I want to thank you for viewing our podcast.